Okay, before you start the process, you should have a couple programs open. Excel, Logger Pro, and a Format Factory. Next, you have to locate the file that you're going to turn from an MP3 or MP4 to MOV. Remember, in order to insert the file into Logger Pro, it has to be in the MOV format, .mov. I'm going to be using screencast.mp4, and I'm going to be turning this into an MOV file. I need Format Factory for it. Under the Video tab, I need to select All to MOV, add a file, go to Desktop and select the file. There's my MP4 file that I'm going to be converting. Open it. Press. Oh, I have to make sure that output settings, output folder is somewhere where I will find the file again. I'm just going to put it back on the desktop. It's fine. Press OK. Once the file is selected, go to Task, Start Converting. This process should take 2-3 minutes. Once the conversion process is over, you can go ahead and close Format Factory. You have to locate the new file. It's here for me. And open Logger Pro. Once Logger Pro is open, you go to Insert, Movie. Once again, mine is on the desktop. You have to locate the file, screencast MOV, and open it. The file should open. If the file opens in a different orientation for you, if it's just vertical, that's okay. We'll address what happens later. If you took your video with an iPhone or an iPad, it's already going to be in the MOV format, so you do not have to go through this step. You can pick up the process from here. Okay, in order to analyze the video, I have to click on the tab on the bottom right hand corner. This opens up my tools. The first thing I'm going to do is go through the video and find out where exactly the ball hits the ground. I'm going to do this by advancing the video frame by frame. Okay, so that's my point of contact with the ground. I'll select the third button from the top, which is Set Origin, and I'm going to set my origin at the same spot where the ball hits the ground. Once I've completed this step, I need to give a scale for Logger Pro so it can come up with measurements. I'm going to select the fourth tool from the top, which is right here, Set Scale. I already made a measurement, and I measured that the bottom of the board to the floor, right where it impacts, the ball impacts the ground, is 82.8 centimeters. Now I have to convert that into meters, so that's going to be 0.828 meters. Click OK. The scale is set. Once I'm to this point, I'm going to back up the video frame by frame until Mr. Schnock is releasing the ball. Ideally, you try to find the frame where the ball is being released just at that moment. So maybe that one. you select the Add Point tool, that's the second one from top, and you pick a part of the ball that you're going to add points to. You should keep that consistent. If you keep the front of the ball as the points that you're adding to it, keep that consistent throughout the whole flight of the ball. If you pick the back, keep the back, middle, and so on. So I'm going to pick the center of the ball. I know in this video the ball is going to blur, and I think it's going to be easier to spot the center of the blur than it is to spot the beginning of it. So I'm going to click on the center of the ball, or as close as I can get to it. Each time I add a point, the video forwards by 1 frame. Right now I'm going to continue to add points at each frame. So I need to find the center of the ball again. And you continue doing this up to the point where the ball gets close to the ground. The data we have here is not really consistent. So in some frames it appears that the ball is advancing a lot, on others it's going really slowly. It's getting very difficult to spot the center of the blur. I think that will be the last frame before the ball actually contacts the ground. Once I have selected the points, we can actually look at the data we received. You drag the window out. Okay, locating the data that I need the time, and in this case the X values. Now if your video is oriented vertically, unlike ours is horizontal right now, which means the X values will be along this axis. In real life, if the video was actually vertically oriented, these would be our Y values. If your video is oriented vertically, you will have to take the first and third column, the Y values. If your video is oriented horizontally, you will have to take the first 2 columns. I will copy these and paste them into Excel. I want to make sure I leave the first row open and paste the values. Once the values were pasted, we have to do some minor manipulations to them. Title the columns, time in seconds, distance in meters. For the time, I want the point at which we release the ball to be 0 seconds. Currently it's 2 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the first value from every single value in this column. The way to do that with Excel is to use a short formula. I'm going to type in equals, click on the first value, minus A to set the column, the $, shift 4. This allows me to set the row. So I want the values from column A, but row 2, and I want to maintain that row 2. That way the value will always be 2, or whatever it is in your case. Press enter. I will now copy and paste the formula down for the entire table, and I have times starting at 0 seconds, increasing up till 0.625 seconds. For the distances, I have to manipulate this a bit also. The distances are negative. I'm going to turn them into positives. The easiest way to do that is equals -1 multiplied is shift 8, not shift 7, and the value. Paste those in also. Paste the formula in. I will select all of the data, not the titles. Insert a scatter plot. Once the scatter plot is inserted, I will click on any of the values. It should highlight all of them. right click, add trend line. I want to add a polynomial to the second order, which is the second degree, and display the equation on the chart. Close. Out of habit, I will move the chart. New sheet, chart 1. And I will move the equation and make the text larger so it's easier to see. The equation I came up with is negative 5.519x squared minus 0.4396x plus 2.5823.